The first thing I'm going to do is demonstrate how to roll a coil. And everybody thinks they know how to roll a coil, but I have this little method that I think makes them bigger and rounder. I roll from a dry surface to a wet surface. It keeps the coil nice and moist. It doesn't dry out. And the other important thing is that you roll the coil from the tips of your finger to the heel of your hand. And that makes sure that the coil is nice and round and prevents those square coils that you sometimes see people rolling out. So tips of the finger to the palm of your hand, onto the wet, back to the dry. All right, so that's rolling a coil. Now, to make some of the handles that we're going to make, I take the coil, figure out what size of handle you want on the cup. And what I do is I make a tapered coil by just rolling the one end of the handle. That leaves the top end nice and thick. All right, so that's, I'd make about 4 or 5 of those because we're going to do 5 different handles. For the first coil handle that I'm going to make is, we call this the rope handle. And I put the ruler here and push the coil like that. And if you want to maybe put a little bit more definition in the handle, then do it again. And that gives you a nice texture in your handle. Now, since the handle is like the branch of a tree, it starts thick and gets narrower, I exaggerate the thickness at the top by pinching it. I've exaggerated the top of the handle, and at this point I'd like to introduce Lana Wilson's Magic Water that we use for attaching our handles. I don't even score the handles. I just add a little bit of magic water to the handle and stick it on, and I really make sure that I push it on there firmly so that it's what I call married to the form. So it's on there really well. It won't come off. All right, at this point, I'm careful to make a perfect inside of a D, a large D, letter D, holding it in front of me so that I can see it, and I have a nice form for my fingers to fit into. Now push it on at the bottom. There's different methods of terminating the handle. I sometimes take my finger and just rub it a little bit. And there's our rope style handle. Be careful not to touch the handle very much. You want to leave it looking really fresh to keep those nice sharp lines that you made with the ruler in there. We're going to put a different style of handle on this cup. This coil I've made seems to be a little bit too fat, so I'll just thin it out a little bit, rolling on the one end. Clean up the top. Fatten the branch a little bit. And this handle, we just slap it on the table to give it a flat surface. Here's another way of putting a coiled handle on a cup, and it's just to add a textured surface to the handle. You can use almost anything imaginable. This is a piece of corrugated cardboard. We've used floor mats from our car, and you just look for different texturing. And I take the tapered coil and just slap it down on the texture, and that leaves you a nice surface in the handle. So once again, I exaggerate the top of the handle, because that's where I'm going to push it onto the cup. Add a little bit of magic water to the handle. Now the beauty of these particular cups is it tells you this is where the handle is to be joined. So I'll put it right on there, and be really careful that you don't wipe out all the texture that you put on the handle. So I put it on there. I lift the cup up to face level so I can look at the D form of the handle, press it in, and take off the excess at the bottom. But I'm always very careful to make sure I've got a nice D. Sometimes you can just touch it a little bit with some water. Don't pick at it.